Hey, brother. Say, I forgot to tell you about this spot that might be of add to your arsenal, especially if you're traveling south, heading down to the Stoddard area, some of those areas down south, or if you want to stay up on the north side too. This is where the clear water will always be prevalent, but it's a spot that is unbelievable in July and August. Last year they were there for 2 months straight. It was a nonstop bite. I caught and weighed all the good fish, and some threes were there, but primarily you're looking at about a 13-pound bag if you just fish this one spot. But just be aware that it's a potential. The railroad bridge. I talked about it last year. I kind of described the spot to you last year, but I didn't fully get into it. The railroad bridge, as you know, the minimum wake area going up to where the boat launch is to where you start, or heading south. On your right-hand side, this is on the west side of the channel, so you're going south here. So this is south. On your right-hand side will be a big power station. Well, if you look on your topo maps, you'll see that in the bay to your right-hand side, once you get around the point, there is a large bar. Well, the bar doesn't look like it does in the topo maps. Actually, it's a very straight, very sharp, very concise edge. It's only maybe 1 foot on top, maybe 2 foot on top. This end of it, I tend to catch a lot of pike, but on the very end of it, it's a very sharp corner, and it's a little sandbar. So we're going here. It goes from like 3 feet down to like 20 feet. The shad from the warm water discharge circle around out here, and they pile into this corner. It's a phenomenal spot, and in actuality, all the way across here, it's only about 9 feet. But here it's off 20 feet. So there's definitely a reason why these fish come to this point. And the reason I stress this, now you could use Ned rigs, you could use the chicken rigs, but the bait that really lights them up is a super deep diving crankbait that you will throw across this thing till about 6-8 foot of water, and then walk it down this bank. And you change your different angles as you fish this, but the key is the bait's got to be bouncing bottom. It gets them really excited when it hits the sandy bottom. This is all sand on this point, and so you just make a grid pattern like this when you're casting, and you'll get these schools lit up, and it's phenomenal fishing. But it's very difficult to find where the tip of the point is the first time. So I want you to, if you fish your way down, 1 minute you'll be in 5 foot, the next minute you'll be in 15 feet. So the edge is very steep until you find where she cuts back in again. And so you really want to work this point with deep diving cranks. That seems to be the number one bait of choice, deep diving cranks. But again, I've caught them with Ned rigs, I've caught them with cranks, and I've thrown in other things and closed the deal. Now, if there is, so we caught a lot of fish here, right? And so this entire bank along here has got a lot of fallen trees, and it looks like something that you'd want to flip. And it looks really sexy, and there's 8 foot of water there. So we went in there and we flipped it one morning after catching a whole bunch of fish here. We flipped this all along here, and I was fishing along. Didn't catch anything other than 2 northern pike. Again, this area is infested with pike. But Marcy, so what I did was I put the boat. Well, let's see if the boat was be right about here. And I'd be flipping into the trees. There's a bunch of fallen trees and stuff. Looks very classic. Well, Marcy, because she's not into flipping, was casting out here into this area. And what ended up happening was that she discovered that there was a hard spot of sand right there. It's straight out from this point, this little island. This is a creek that feeds in. I'm sorry, my markers aren't working too good today. But this is actually a creek that goes back in here. There's a creek that comes out here. And evidently, this island must extend out with some sort of hard pan. But so what you basically do is I would power pole the boat down right up next to the trees in about 8 foot of water, right up next to the trees. But I would be fishing to the middle of this little pocket. Now remember, this bar comes on this side too. So here it's only 3 foot of water, but right in the middle, there's an 8-9 foot of hard pan sand. And we literally destroyed them here. In fact, if you were to say what was a better choice of place to fish, the inside pocket or the point, by far the pocket was far more consistent. And the only bait that worked here was chicken rigs and Ned rigs. I couldn't light them up on crankbaits at all, but you would literally sit here, power pole down, and just work your way through this, and the fish would go up and down this little sand break. My guess is it had something to do with pushing the shad into this circle, because it's a shallow bar here on all the sides, and the fish would just dump into this spot. But it's an overlooked spot because everyone usually fishes the bank and they fish towards shore. They don't realize that the boat is almost fishing on top of where the school of fish is sitting. We discovered the school there last year, and it was there for 2 solid months. And actually, we caught them there 2 weeks ago, so I guess they're still there. Between this point and this point, it's an easy limit of fish, and they might be enough to help you out from time to time. It's not far from the railroad bridge there going into the minimum wake area, so it's something to consider.